Welcome to Struggling Stories, a channel where real emotions find their voice. Here, we tell stories that touch the heart, that break you, heal you, and remind you what it means to fight for love and truth. If you believe every pain has a purpose, don't forget to unsubscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Because sometimes, your comment can become someone's courage. Tonight's story, The Last Call, is about Evelyn Moore, a mother whose quiet world is torn apart when her son, Liam, becomes the victim of a truth too dangerous to tell. What begins as a mother's love soon turns into a fight for justice, and a revelation that will change everything. Part 1. When the Night Screamed. The clock read 6 a.m. Evelyn Moore was half asleep when the phone on her bedside table began to ring. It wasn't just the sound that startled her. It was the feeling. You know that feeling when the world suddenly shifts? When something inside you whispers that life is about to change forever? She picked up the phone, her voice trembling. "Hello, Mrs. Moore?" A deep, steady voice replied. "This is Officer Daniels from St. Luke's Precinct. I'm afraid there's been an accident involving your son, Liam Moore." Evelyn's hand went cold. Her body froze as the words hung in the air. "Accident?" she managed to say. "What kind of accident?" The officer hesitated. "Your son's alive, ma'am, but he's in critical condition. You should come immediately." The phone nearly slipped from her hand. Her heart began to pound, not the quick panic of fear, but the deep, hollow dread that only a mother can understand. She didn't even grab her coat. She ran into the storm, the rain soaking her as she drove through empty streets. The wipers slapped back and forth, barely clearing the downpour. The world outside blurred, but inside her car, one name echoed in her mind: Liam. By the time she reached the hospital, her clothes were drenched, her hair clinging to her face. The nurse at reception looked up and recognized the name instantly. "Room 304, ICU," she said softly. "He's stable, but please prepare yourself." Evelyn's legs felt weak as she walked through the long corridor, the smell of disinfectant and fear heavy in the air. Through the glass window of the ICU, she saw him, her son, pale, still, machines breathing for him, tubes running through his body like veins of another world. A soft cry escaped her lips. "My baby." Dr. Grant appeared beside her, a tall man with tired eyes. "Mrs. Moore," he said gently. "Your son was found near the old Riverside Bridge. Severe head trauma, bruising, internal bleeding. He was beaten. Whoever did this, they meant to kill him." Evelyn's breath caught. "Beaten?" she repeated, disbelief choking her voice. "Why?" "He doesn't hurt anyone," the doctor sighed. "He works for Hawthorne Industries, doesn't he? Sometimes people see too much in that line of work." Evelyn frowned. "He's just an engineer. He builds bridges." "Sometimes," the doctor murmured. "Bridges connect more than just roads." His words didn't make sense then, but later they would haunt her. Hours passed. The rain outside slowed to a whisper. Evelyn sat by her son's bedside, her hand resting gently on his. The machines beeped in a rhythm that matched her heartbeat. Slow, fragile, uncertain, she whispered softly. "Liam, it's Mom. You're going to be okay, sweetheart. You hear me? You're strong. You're all I have." A faint twitch, barely noticeable. Then his lips parted slightly. "Mom," the voice was weak, but real. Her eyes widened. "Liam? Oh my God, I'm here, baby, I'm here." His hand moved, fingers trembling as if reaching for something unseen. "Don't trust, Clara." The words came out like broken glass, sharp, heavy, and unfinished. "Clara?" Evelyn repeated, confusion washing over her. "You mean Clara Reeves? Your girlfriend?" But his eyes had already rolled back, his body sinking into stillness again. The monitor beeped faster. Doctors rushed in, pushing Evelyn aside. "We need space, ma'am." She stumbled back, heart pounding, staring through the glass as they fought to stabilize him again. And in that chaos, one thought consumed her. Don't trust Clara. Later that morning, Evelyn sat in the hospital cafeteria, her hands shaking as she held a cup of untouched coffee. Her mind replayed the night like a broken film. The phone call, the drive, the blood on her son's face, his trembling voice whispering that name. Clara had been visiting every day since the accident. Sweet, polite, always with flowers. She cried at the right moments, said the right things. But now, Evelyn's heart no longer trusted her tears. Mrs. Moore, a voice interrupted her thoughts. It was Officer Daniels, the same man who had called her. He sat down across from her, opening a small notebook. "I need to ask a few questions," he said. "Do you know anyone who might have wanted to harm your son?" "No," Evelyn said quickly. "He doesn't have enemies. He barely goes out. He works, he comes home, that's all." Daniels nodded slowly. "He was found near the old bridge, like I mentioned. The place is part of the new Riverside project Hawthorne Industries is working on. But here's the thing. That site was supposed to be closed at midnight. He shouldn't have been there." Evelyn frowned. "Then what was he doing there?" "That's what we're trying to find out." He paused, then added quietly, "We also found his phone. It's badly damaged, but there's a recording. A voice message." Evelyn's heart skipped. "A message?" Daniels nodded. "We're trying to recover the file. It seems it was recorded minutes before the attack." Her throat tightened. "He tried to call me that night," she whispered. "But I was asleep. I didn't hear the phone." Daniels gave her a look filled with quiet sympathy. "Don't blame yourself, ma'am. Whatever he was caught in, it wasn't your fault." But Evelyn wasn't listening anymore. In her heart, she already knew. This wasn't just an accident. It was a warning. That evening, Clara appeared again. She looked fragile, almost angelic, her blue dress soaked with rain. "How is he?" she asked softly, clutching a bouquet of white lilies. "Any change?" Evelyn studied her carefully. The trembling lips, the red eyes, all perfectly in place. But something in her eyes felt wrong, too calm, too practiced. "Doctor says he's stable," Evelyn replied curtly. "That's good," Clara said, placing the flowers on the table beside the bed. "I keep praying for him." There was silence. Only the sound of the heart monitor filled the room. Then Clara whispered, "He always worried too much about work. Especially that bridge project. Said something didn't feel right." Evelyn's gaze snapped to her. "What did he mean?" Clara hesitated. "I don't know. He just said the company was hiding things, that some reports didn't match. I told him to let it go. He promised he would." Evelyn's chest tightened. So Clara knew about it. But she didn't say anything. She just nodded, masking the storm inside her. When Clara left, Evelyn turned toward Liam again. Her voice was barely a whisper. "What did you find, baby? What truth did they hurt you for?" The rain outside had started again, tapping against the window like tiny warnings. And in that cold hospital room, under the flickering light, Evelyn Moore made a silent promise she would find out who hurt her son and why, even if it meant losing everything. The rain hadn't stopped in 3 days. It was as if the sky itself was mourning, or warning, Evelyn Moore. She hadn't left the hospital since that night. Her reflection in the window looked older, exhausted, and yet determined. Her eyes no longer held the softness of a mother waiting for her son to wake. They carried the sharpness of a woman ready to fight. Every sound in the ICU had become familiar. The steady hum of machines, the rhythmic beep of the heart monitor, the quiet footsteps of nurses who had begun to whisper when she passed by. Everyone in this hospital knew. Evelyn Moore wasn't just another mother waiting. She was a storm waiting to break. That morning, Officer Daniels returned. His uniform looked damp from the rain. "Mrs. Moore," he said gently, "we've recovered the audio file from your son's phone." Her heart skipped. "Play it," she whispered. Daniels placed his phone on the table. A faint hiss of static filled the air. Then Liam's voice. "Mom, if you get this, and don't believe what they tell you. Ethan and Clara, they're not who they say they are. It's about the bridge, the foundation. They're hiding something. Please, Mom, don't." Then a loud crash, a shout, and silence. Evelyn pressed her hand to her mouth, tears filling her eyes. "That was recorded the night he was attacked?" she asked. Daniels nodded grimly. Yes, just minutes before we found him. Her voice trembled. Clara, and Ethan? Ethan Price, Daniels replied. Liam's project manager at Hawthorne Industries. And Clara Reeves. She's the daughter of Robert Reeves, the CEO. The world seemed to spin. Evelyn's knees almost gave out. His girlfriend is the daughter of the man who owns the company? Daniels hesitated. Didn't you know? She shook her head. No. Liam never told me. That night, when Clara came again, Evelyn watched her more closely than ever. Clara placed flowers on the table as usual, but this time her hands shook slightly. How are you holding up, Mrs. Moore? She asked softly. Evelyn didn't answer right away. Instead, she said, Clara, did you ever visit Liam at the bridge site? Clara froze, just for a second. But Evelyn saw it, the flicker of surprise. No, she stammered. Why would I? Because, Evelyn said quietly, someone saw you there the night of the attack. Clara's eyes darted away. That's ridiculous. Who told you that? Evelyn leaned closer. Does it matter who told me? You were there, weren't you? The young woman's mask cracked, just for an instant. Fear flashed in her eyes before she quickly forced a tearful smile. I only went there to find him, she said. He wasn't answering my calls. I was worried. Worried enough to drive to a closed construction site in the middle of the night. Evelyn's voice was sharp now. Clara took a step back. You're upset. I understand. You're grieving. But please, don't turn this into something it's not. And before Evelyn could reply, Clara grabbed her purse and left, fast, almost running. Later that night, Evelyn sat alone in Liam's empty apartment. Everything was still. The smell of his cologne lingering faintly in the air, his jacket still draped on the couch. She sat at his desk and turned on his laptop. It asked for a password. She tried everything she could think of. Birthdays, names, numbers. Nothing worked. Then her eyes fell on a framed photo beside the desk, a picture of her and Liam at the Riverside Bridge site. He had written on the frame with a marker, For you, Mom, the bridge between us. Her eyes softened. She typed it slowly. The bridge between. The screen unlocked. Her breath caught. Inside his documents folder were dozens of files labeled Project RB, each containing images of cracks in support beams, chemical reports showing substandard materials, and notes about missing safety inspections. At the bottom was a folder named Confidential EP. Ethan Price. She opened it. Emails. Dozens of them. Between Ethan and someone named R. Reeves. They spoke about falsifying reports, cutting budgets, and making sure the whistleblower doesn't talk. Her hands shook as she scrolled. And then she saw it. A message dated just 2 days before the attack. From E. Price. To now, R. Reeves. Liam's asking questions. He's close to finding out about the transfer logs. Clara's trying to calm him down. But if he talks, it'll all come down on us. Evelyn's stomach turned cold. Her son hadn't been in an accident. He had been targeted. The next morning, Evelyn went straight to Officer Daniels with the laptop. He looked through the files, whistling softly. Mrs. Moore, this is huge, he said. If these are real, this could destroy Hawthorne Industries. They're real, she said. Every photo, every email. My son collected them. Daniels frowned. Then this wasn't just about the bridge. These reports mention government contracts, bribes, safety violations. If word gets out, he didn't finish. He didn't have to. Evelyn leaned forward. I need protection for my son. Daniels nodded. We'll assign a guard. But Mrs. Moore, you have to be careful. If what's in here is true, these people won't stop easily. That evening, Evelyn returned to the hospital, a storm raging both outside and inside her heart. She walked into the ICU and froze. Clara was already there, standing beside Liam's bed, whispering something into his ear. Evelyn stepped forward. What are you doing here? Clara turned, startled. Oh, I was just talking to him. You should go. Evelyn interrupted coldly. Clara hesitated. I just wanted to see if he's okay. I said, go. For the first time, Clara didn't argue. She picked up her purse and walked out, her expression unreadable. But as she passed Evelyn, she whispered just loud enough for her to hear. "You shouldn't dig too deep. Mrs. Moore, sometimes the truth can bury you." The words sent a chill through Evelyn's spine. She watched her leave, her fists trembling, and at that moment, something inside her changed forever. She wasn't just a grieving mother anymore. She was an avenger, and she had found her purpose. That night, she called someone she hadn't spoken to in years, her brother, Henry Walker, a former investigative journalist turned private detective. When he answered, his voice was half asleep, half curious. "Evelyn, it's been a while. What's wrong?" "I need your help," she said, her voice steady now. "It's about Liam, and about a company called Hawthorne Industries." Henry was silent for a few seconds, then sighed. "That name sounds like trouble." "It's more than trouble," she whispered. "It's murder." When Evelyn Moore called her brother that night, she wasn't looking for comfort. She was looking for a weapon. Henry Walker had once been a respected investigative journalist, the kind who wrote stories that made politicians sweat. But that was years ago, before one of his reports exposed the wrong people and cost him everything. He lived quietly now, miles away from the city, surrounded by boxes of old files and memories that refused to die. When he arrived at the hospital the next morning, he looked older than she remembered, beard rough, eyes sharp as ever. He took one look at Liam, unconscious under the glow of machines, and his jaw tightened. "He's a fighter," he said softly, "just like his mother." Evelyn didn't smile. She handed him the laptop. "You need to see this." Henry spent an hour going through the files, his face hardening with every page. When he was done, he looked up. "Ethan Price, Robert Reeves." "Clara Reeves," he whistled quietly. "You've stepped into hell, sis." "I didn't step," she said quietly. "They dragged me in." Henry leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. "This kind of evidence could bury half the company board, but it also means they'll come after you." "I don't care," Evelyn said. "They already took everything from me. I just want the truth." Henry looked at her for a long moment. Then he sighed. "All right, we'll do it my way. Quiet, smart, and deadly precise." For the next few days, they worked in silence. Henry used his old press contacts to trace the email servers. Evelyn went through Liam's notes, reading every scribble, every sketch. Most of it was technical engineering data, except one file that stood out. Riverside Bridge, Phase 2, confidential. Inside were blueprints with handwritten notes from Liam. Material inconsistency in column B7. Load-bearing design altered post-approval. Potential collapse risk at 85% stress. And then, scrawled in red ink at the bottom, "If this bridge opens, people will die." Evelyn's hand shook. Her son wasn't just trying to expose corruption. He was trying to prevent a tragedy. That night, as Henry cross-referenced company documents, Evelyn made coffee in Liam's kitchen. The sound of rain had become her constant companion. Henry spoke from the living room, his tone serious. "I found something strange. Hawthorne's bank accounts show multiple offshore transfers, millions, all linked to the same shell company, Reeves Holdings International." Evelyn frowned. "That's Robert Reeves?" "Exactly. He's been funneling company funds into fake projects, including the Riverside Bridge." Liam must have found the paper trail. Evelyn sank into a chair. "And Ethan Price?" Henry pulled up another file. "He's the enforcer. Keeps everyone quiet. And Clara—" "Don't say her name," Evelyn interrupted, her voice trembling. "I can't hear it without wanting to scream." Henry looked at her gently. "You'll need to face her eventually. If she's part of this, she knows more than anyone." The next day, Evelyn returned to the hospital to find something strange. Liam's guard, the officer assigned by Daniels, was gone. "Where's the security detail?" she asked the nurse. The nurse looked confused. "He said he was called off duty this morning." "You didn't approve that?" Evelyn's stomach dropped. "No," she ran to Liam's room. He was still there. but something was wrong. The IV line had been tampered with. The monitor beeped irregularly. "Doctor," she screamed. Within seconds, the room was flooded with staff. They stabilized him quickly, but when the doctor looked at the IV bag, his face turned pale. "This isn't hospital-issue medication," he said. "It's been replaced." Evelyn's legs nearly gave out. Someone had tried to kill her son. Again. Henry arrived minutes later. Evelyn's hands were still shaking. "They're watching us, Henry. They know we're getting close." Henry nodded grimly. "Then we move faster." He pulled out a flash drive. "I cloned Liam's data, but we'll need more than files. We need proof that connects Reeves and Ethan personally." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "Then we go to them," Henry stared. "You're not serious." "I am," she said. "If they want to play games, I'll play better." That evening, Evelyn dressed in calm defiance, a black coat, a silver pendant Liam had given her on his graduation day. She looked in the mirror and saw a woman she no longer recognized. A mother turned hunter. Henry parked outside the grand glass tower of Andrew Hawthorne Industries. It loomed above the city like a monument to greed. "Security's tight," he warned. "You can't just walk in there." Evelyn smiled faintly. "Watch me." She walked straight through the main doors, calm as winter ice. The receptionist tried to stop her. "Ma'am, you can't." "I have a meeting with Ethan Price," she said smoothly. "He'll want to see me." Within minutes, 2 guards escorted her to the 27th floor, to Ethan's office. He stood by the window, city lights glowing behind him. "Mrs. Moore," he said with a polite smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You've caused quite a stir." Evelyn didn't sit. "You tried to kill my son." His expression flickered, surprise then amusement. "Strong words, but I think you're confused. Accidents happen." "Accidents don't send threatening messages," she snapped, tossing a copy of Liam's voicemail on the desk. "He named you. He named Clara." Ethan's face hardened. "You have no idea how big this is, Mrs. Moore. Walk away. Forget what he found. I'm giving you a chance." Evelyn leaned forward, voice trembling but fierce. "You hurt the wrong mother." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You don't scare me," she smiled coldly. "You should be scared of the truth." Then she left. Calmly, slowly, because she had seen it. The flicker of panic in his eyes when she mentioned Clara. When she returned to the car, Henry was waiting. "That went well, I assume?" She didn't answer. She just handed him a small object, a voice recorder. Henry's eyes widened. I turned it on before I walked in," she said. "We have his confession," Henry grinned. "Evelyn Moore, I think you just became my favorite journalist." But that night, something unexpected happened. Henry's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "You're in over your head. Stop digging, or you'll bury him for good." Attached was a photo. Liam, in his hospital bed, a shadowy figure standing over him. Evelyn's breath caught. Her hand flew to her mouth. They weren't bluffing. She looked at Henry. "We have to move him, tonight." Henry nodded. "I'll call Daniels. We'll put him in protective custody." But even as he spoke, thunder rolled outside, and Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that they were already too late. That night, the rain fell harder than ever. The city lights blurred through the storm as Evelyn whispered a promise into the dark. "You wanted me to stay silent, but you made me loud. You wanted me to break, but you made me steal. You wanted to take my son. Now you'll see what a mother can do." The night Liam vanished, the hospital corridors were quieter than usual. Too quiet. Rain lashed against the windows as Evelyn Moore pushed open the door to her son's room. The bed was empty. The sheets were pulled back, the machines silent. Her heart stopped. "Liam," she whispered, stepping closer, hoping, praying. It was a mistake. But all that remained was a faint indentation on the mattress, and the IV line lying limp on the floor. Henry burst in behind her. "What happened?" "He's gone," Evelyn said numbly. "They took him." For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Henry's phone buzzed. A message, no number, no name, just 2 words, he's awake. Evelyn's voice trembled. Awake? What does that mean? Henry frowned. Let's find out. They drove through the storm, following a trail of coordinates the message had attached. Each turn took them further from the city, past the factories, past the river, until the road turned to mud and silence. Finally, they reached an abandoned warehouse, old Hawthorne property, long shut down. The sign outside was half fallen. Riverside Construction, Phase 2. Evelyn's stomach twisted. Liam's project. They entered through the side door. The air smelled of rust and rain. A single light flickered in the distance. And then, a shadow moved. Henry, Evelyn whispered. Someone's here. They stepped closer. A figure stood at the far end of the warehouse, back turned to them. He was tall, thin, wrapped in a dark coat. When he spoke, the voice froze Evelyn's blood. Mom. Evelyn gasped. Liam? He turned slowly, pale, alive, eyes filled with something she'd never seen before. Not fear. Not love. Something colder. She ran toward him, tears spilling down her cheeks. Oh my God, Liam! You're alive! But when she reached out, he didn't move, didn't hug her back, didn't even smile. Henry stepped forward carefully. Liam, son, what happened? We thought... Liam's eyes flicked to Henry, then back to Evelyn. You shouldn't have come here. Evelyn's voice broke. They said you were in a coma. You almost died. I've been fighting for you, he interrupted quietly. You shouldn't have. Evelyn blinked. What do you mean? Liam exhaled slowly, his voice steady but heavy. I wasn't the victim, Mom. I was part of it. The words hung in the air like smoke. Henry froze. What are you saying? Liam's jaw clenched. The bridge, the files, the money. It wasn't just Hawthorne or Reeves. It was me, too. Evelyn shook her head violently. No, you're lying. They forced you... I designed the change in the bridge's structure, Liam said flatly. I approved the materials. I took the money. Evelyn's knees weakened. Why? Why would you do that? He looked away, eyes glistening. Because I wanted out. Out of this life. Out of this city. I was tired of watching you struggle. I thought if I played along, took what I could, we could finally live free. Evelyn's breath came in short, sharp gasps. I fought for you, she whispered. I almost died for you. I didn't want you to find out, he said softly. When I realized the bridge would collapse, I tried to stop it. But Ethan found out. They made it look like an accident. And when I woke up, I saw you turning into me, lying, fighting, getting dirty. Evelyn's voice cracked. Everything I did to save you. Liam's eyes met hers, hollow and aching. And everything I did was to escape you. Henry stepped between them. Enough, you're lying, kid. You've been brainwashed. Liam pulled a gun. Don't, Henry, Evelyn gasped. Liam, what are you doing? Liam's hand trembled. You shouldn't have come. You don't understand. They're watching everything. If they see you here, you'll both die. Then come with us, Evelyn pleaded. We can leave. Start over, Liam's voice broke. It's too late for me, Mom. You can't undo what I did. Suddenly a sound echoed. Footsteps behind the crates. Ethan Price stepped into the light, smirking. Well, he said. Family reunion. Evelyn turned, fury rising. You! Ethan raised a gun of his own. You were supposed to stay quiet, Mrs. Moore, but you just couldn't, could you? Liam moved in front of his mother. Leave her out of this, Ethan laughed. Touching. But you know how this ends, Liam. You signed the same deal we all did. Evelyn's heart pounded. Deal? Liam looked down. I traded the data for my life. They promised to leave you alone. Ethan grinned. And now she knows too much. That means... bang! The sound shattered the air. Ethan froze, eyes wide, before falling to the ground. Smoke curled from Henry's gun. He'd shot him. For a long time, no one spoke. Liam stared at the body. Evelyn just stood there, trembling. Henry lowered the gun. We need to go. Now. But Liam didn't move. He turned to Evelyn, voice barely a whisper. I told you. It's too late." Then, before she could reach him, he took Ethan's gun and pointed it at his own chest. "Liam, no! I can't undo what I've done. Mom, but I can stop it from spreading," she screamed as he pulled the trigger. The echo of that shot haunted her forever. Henry dragged her away before the sirens came. They escaped into the storm, the night swallowing their cries. When they reached the car, Evelyn collapsed against the door, shaking. "He was right," she whispered. "He was part of it, and I never saw it." Henry placed a hand on her shoulder. "He made his choice. But you still have to make yours." She looked up at him through tears. "What choice is left?" Henry met her eyes. "The truth. You still have it. Liam's files, Ethan's voice recording. You can burn them or release them." Evelyn looked at the flash drive, the one that had started it all. Rain trickled down her fingers as she held it over the fire of Henry's lighter. For a moment, she almost dropped it in, but then she closed her hand. "No," she said softly. "He died for the truth. It deserves to live." Weeks later, Evelyn Moore stood on a bridge, the new Riverside Bridge, rebuilt stronger than before. Children laughed nearby. Cars passed. Life went on. The world would never know the names of those who died in silence. But they would know the story, because Evelyn told it. Her video, The Last Call, went viral. It ended with a single message. Sometimes the ones we fight for are the ones we must forgive. And sometimes the last call isn't a goodbye, it's a confession. As the wind brushed her face, she whispered into the gray morning, "Goodbye, Liam." And somewhere deep in the city, a phone buzzed. A message appeared on its dark screen. "Mom, don't look back." The screen flickered and went dark. The end. The last call.